Hi, my name is Moon Petrie and I am doing the AuthorTube Work in Progress tag. The first question is, what is the working title for your book? I did not have any title for the longest time, and then as I was about to start revising, I started calling it With Honesty, which fits perfectly. But it sounds like a contemporary, and it's a fantasy, so I wanted a fantasy title. I've been calling it The Deathmaker's Child. We'll see if that sticks. Where did the idea for your book come from? It came from my oldest child, who asked me a bunch of questions one day that began with, if you had a fantasy castle. And I started writing down my answers and ideas, and it turned into a huge amount of brainstorming, and then before I knew it, I was writing. What genre does your book fall under? I think pretty obviously fantasy. It is a portal fantasy. What actors would you choose to play your characters in a movie? This is the question I had the hardest time with. So I have two POV characters, and one of them is a teenage girl, and I'm thinking Millie Bobby Brown. She's a little older than Millie Bobby Brown is now, but let's assume it'll take a while to turn it into a movie. My other POV character is her uncle, and he's kind of gruff and rough around the edges, and I'm thinking of Tom Sizemore. If you don't know who he is, he was in kind of everything in the 90s. At least it seemed like kind of everything to me. He was back-to-back in Natural Born Killers and Strange Days. And maybe the rest of you did not obsessively watch those over and over. Maybe it was just because of the huge crush I had on Juliette Lewis. Anyway, Tom Sizemore. Unlike Millie Bobby Brown, he is not a little younger than the character. He's a little older than the character, but he's the best I can think of. And then my villain, again, this is weird. If you like cooking shows, she reminds me of Giada De Laurentiis. Giada has this smile sometimes, cat, that it looks like she's threatening to bite you. I think she's probably just nervous when she smiles like that. But that's not where my villain is coming from. She's not nervous. She never actually bites anyone in the book, but she has that smile like she might. What is the one-sentence synopsis of your book? And this is a difficult question too. I would say a group of people from our world end up in another world that is pre-industrial, but one of the people that comes through is a gunsmith in a world that has never seen anything like that. Will your book be self-published or represented by an agency? I am choosing to pursue traditional publishing for a lot of reasons. And maybe someday I should make a video about why. But short version, I like to write, I like to revise and edit, I like to brainstorm, I like to make YouTube videos. I don't have any interest in or experience with marketing or design or distribution, and I don't want to have to wear all of those hats. And also, a lot of people talk about their dream being going into a bookstore and finding their book on the shelf. And that's fantastic. And that would be lovely if that happens for me someday. I love libraries so much. So my dream is to be able to find my book on library shelves. And I know that a lot of self-published books never make it into libraries. Most of the really small publishers are not being distributed to libraries. So traditional publishing is definitely the better path if that is the main goal. How long did it take to write the first draft of your manuscript? Which is a difficult question because it was kind of off and on for a while, but 2 years-ish? What other books would you compare your story to? I think it's a little bit like E. Nesbitt's books, which are for younger readers, and my book is YA, so sort of an E. Nesbitt portal fantasy for older readers with some more modern and more mature topics. And it's definitely, as there is this, weaponry being introduced into a world that has been innocent of that, reminds me a little bit of Star Trek's Prime Directive of non-interference with primitive societies. Who or what inspired you to write the book? So I've told the story about the initial idea, but I would say it was the setting, it was the world that got me dragged in as I found out more and more about the world. It started to fill itself with people, and it was by exploring the place that I found the story. What else about your book might pique readers' interests? Dragons? Until next time, I am Moon Petrie, and good luck with your work in progress.